Alright, so what's going on, guys? So today we're going to do a how to foot jam tutorial. Now this has been requested by a couple of people, so we thought, well, it's about time, we should probably do it. What you want to do is obviously get your bike and get your helmet, pads, whatever makes you feel comfortable. And what we're going to do is, the first thing you want to know is what foot we're going to use to foot jam. So if you're left foot forwards, you're going to use your left foot to come off and jam in between your fork and the tyre. In saying that, if you are right foot forwards, use your right foot to go in like that. So what I'd recommend doing on flat is you want to figure out what it's going to feel like to put your foot in, stop the whole bike with your foot, and then kind of start to creep up on your nose and then kind of balance a little bit. What I'd do for that is just go along on flat ground and kind of put your foot in, lean forwards, and then kind of get it like that. My biggest tip for this is don't put your toes in straight forwards where you've got the forks like that. Don't put your foot in straight. You want it to kind of turn in on the side so it's kind of touching that part of the shoe. If you put your toes in straight, there is a chance, depending on the gap between your tyre and your fork, you can get your toes stuck underneath and really injure them. So it's not too fun doing that. I've done it a couple of times by mistake. So you always want to kind of turn your foot as you go in for the foot jam. So what we'll do now is we'll go along on flat, just here or something like this, and we're going to go up, we're going to put the foot just in, bit of turn on it, and we'll see what happens. So like that, like that. So that's probably how starting out yours might look, but what you need to do now is, as you've got your foot in, your weight, instead of kind of sitting back, it needs to all be one fluid motion, and you need to go forwards as well. I'll do one and show you kind of the two extremes, so not enough, too much, and then I'll show you where the balance point should sit in the middle. So this one, I won't give it enough, and you'll see how it wants to go up, but because I'm not leaning forwards and kind of committing to it, it just keeps kind of dropping back down. Something like that. Now, on the other hand, I'll do too much, I'll make myself go over the bars, and I'll show you how you kind of have to jump out of them. So obviously you don't want to give it too much, otherwise that'll happen. So now what I'll try and do is I'll show you that kind of in-between point of where you kind of lean forward just enough, you've got your foot in, you've kind of bent your arms in a little bit, you crouched, kind of hunched over it, compress down, and you can kind of move a little bit of your weight to kind of balance it. I'll try and do one now. So that wasn't too bad. At the end I went forward a little bit, but you can see how it wanted to stay there, and it kind of, there was some control over it. So that to me is the first thing you want to do. You want to be able to put your foot in, lean forwards, and then kind of start to balance it a little bit, not have it just like a kind of really quick kind of that. You want there to be control over it, because you want to sort that out before you go taking it to a quarter or a bank, because if you don't have control over it, that's when you're going to kind of hurt yourself, because it is a trick of commitment. You need to be fully committed to like leaning forwards, and there is a chance you can go over bars. So you want to kind of like minimize those risks as much as possible and kind of just take the steps that'll help you get there. Now, obviously with a foot jam, that's all well and good to be able to do it just riding along straight, but unless you're doing a foot jam to fakie, there's another element to it. You need to turn your body and land in the foot jam. So what you want to do is now find a bank. I find that this is probably the easiest place to learn kind of spinning into your foot jam on, because a quarter, obviously you've got coping, it's a bit steeper, requires a lot more commitment. A banking kind of play around with it and not get too hurt doing it. I've got this bank kind of on the box over there. If you're at home or something like that and you don't have a skate park readily available, you can use like a driveway or something that's got a bit of steepness to it. Yeah, and that should be able to help you out getting this done. But anyway, we'll go over to the bank and I'll show you the next part. So what we need to be doing now is found our bank, and the foot jam, we're going to be coming up. We're going to kind of be coming up a little bit of a turn to us, so we're not coming up dead straight to the top. We're going to turn a little bit on the way up. We're going to turn, and then we're going to hop into it and then hop out. So there's three kind of motions there that we'll kind of look at. There's the coming up, getting into a part. There's the once you're in it part. Then there's kind of the preload and hop out. So I'll do a couple now and then I'll try and talk you through them. Basically, as I'm going up, I'm kind of looking where the camera is now, kind of looking for my carve and looking at the spot where I'm going to hop and put my tie down and then to put my foot in for the foot jam. So I'm kind of looking somewhere in that area there. So I'm starting here, coming up, and then all it is just like a hop. But what you want to do is kind of nose it in a little bit. It's a hop that's kind of, you're not using your arms as much, it's more of your legs kind of scooping up. A little bit of your arms. You use more arms when you're in a quarter, but for this I'm not really picking up with my arms, it's more of just the back legs kind of flicking up like that and then putting my foot in and then coming out. So I'll do the hop now without the foot jam and you'll kind of see what it needs to look like. So my nose is always landing first, and that's because I want to put my foot in and obviously put it in quick enough that it catches the tyre and jams it before my back end comes back down. So again, we're going to come up, do the hop that's more kind of legs orientated, not so much in the arms. Put our foot in, and then it's all kind of figuring out that balance point, and remember keeping your weight forward and on the inside shoulder. I can't stress kind of how important that is. The reason, again, is you see so many people get stuck doing foot jams where they come up and they just kind of keep landing on the deck and they can't bring it back in, and it's just because they're not committing their weight on that inside shoulder. And another big thing that will really help kind of coming back in is spotting and landing. So like with a 360 or a 180 or whatever, you know, turning your head and looking at where you want to land is another really important thing. So as you've gone up, you'll be putting your foot in, weight forwards and on the inside shoulder, and then turn your head and look down for your landing. When I'm up there, I kind of look down and just I don't know, the flat ground concrete over here, just anything in that direction of the way I want to pull back in. It just makes coming back in and not casing a hell of a lot easier. And yeah, really for coming out of it, the only tips I have is kind of when you're ready to come back in, bend your arms in a little bit, kind of, you've kept your balance for as long as you want for the foot jam. Bend in, kind of, not too much, but bend down. Again, your weight is over on that shoulder and you're looking, kind of bend and then just hop back in like you're doing your kind of bunny hop, but with one foot obviously on the tyre, hop, and then your foot kind of just comes back to the pedal. To start with, what you can do is you can, as you're hopping back in, don't worry about putting your foot back on, just kind of get the motion of hopping back in and knowing that you're clearing into the landing, and your foot will just naturally go back on when you feel kind of comfortable coming back in and knowing that you're getting a clean landing. Okay, so now that we're ready to do it on the quarter, there's not really too much more that you need to do. I think it's a little bit scary. It's more of a mental kind of thing now that you've got coping and a steeper ramp. To me, the coping helps though, because it really, you can use it as a marker as to where you need to kind of foot jam. You know, you want to foot jam pretty close to the coping. So when I'm doing it, I kind of focus just right of the coping as I come in, or left, depending on, again, what way you're coming in. But really, just, you don't need to go as quick as you can. You just need enough speed to be able to do the nose heavy hop, coming up like that. What I'll do on a quarter is I'll show you something that might help get the carve and kind of that nose heavy action. Is I'm going to come up, and you don't really need to hop on the quarter. You can just roll out, but as you progress with them, you want to start hopping into them. It just makes them look a little bit cleaner. But to start with, you almost, depending on how steep the quarter is, could just roll up and onto it. But I'd try and learn the hop as early as possible, because it's just going to be beneficial in the long run. But what I'll do now is I'll show you, I'll come up and kind of just hop nose heavy onto the top of the deck, and it's almost just like you kind of rolling up the ramp. You've done a run, you're just coming up to the top, nose heavy on. So I'll show you that now, and then we'll try and piece it together on the quarter. Okay, so now that you can do that, what you want to do is try and get the foot jam into it kind of as you're coming up. Again, lean in. Your weight wants to be on the inside shoulder and forwards as you're putting your foot in, kind of leaning, committing, looking in. That's really important. The biggest thing I see when it comes to doing it on quarters is people, they're getting the foot jam fine, but it's just kind of the coming back in part is kind of a bit of an issue, and I feel that it's because they're not committing, whether it be with looking at where they want to go or their weight. The thing I feel is with a foot jam, your weight almost at no time, depending on how long you want to do the foot jam for, but if you're just starting, your weight almost never should go past the line of the coping. If you think about it in this sense, that we're here like this, my weight should always be this side of the coping, never that side. I'll try and demonstrate it now. I'll try and keep my weight in, and then I'll move my weight out, and what you'll see is I'll do the foot jam fine, but I'll start to topple that way. If ever you're doing a foot jam and you can't get back in and you're toppling away from into the quarter, it just means that you're not leaning in as much. You may be going maybe a little bit too quick and all your momentum's kind of throwing out that way, but it's really just you're not committing, coming back in with all your weight. You need to keep it on the inside of the coping, and you should be able to just pick it up and lay it back down. So I'll do a couple of examples now of where my weight has gone wrong and where it should be. So you can see here my weight's too far out and I've leant in, and obviously I'm nowhere near coming back in. Here I'm kind of teasing the quarter but didn't fully commit, and then when you fully put your weight in, you do it. So hopefully that's helped you out, guys. I love foot jams as a trick. They're an awesome trick to really do on any quarter, bank, and then you can do plenty of variations with them. They're heaps of fun. You know, go out and learn them. Let us know how you went with them. If you've got any questions whatsoever, please leave a comment below and we'll be more than happy to get back to you and help you out with whatever we can. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, all of that good stuff. Enjoy this little 1-minute foot jam edit, and we'll see you in the next video. Take it easy, guys. Woo! You're still in one piece. Thank God for that.